I'm finally making this video. Welcome to VHelp new release. There is like 3 new features in it, but before that, I want to say things about the next release because I have already planned what the next 3 release is going to be, and the next 3 release is going to be focused on collaboration. Collaboration on the VTubing is such a disaster. You either should use my mess of a code here that I developed, or you should use very uncustomized. Even with that, that's just for PNGs or GIFs. If you want in each other streams, you either need a DLC from VTuber Studio, or god damn it if you guys are from different applications. You guys need to somehow stream into each other and then green screen each other, which is such a janky work and such a disaster. It's horrible for performance as well. Every part of it is just disaster. This release adds a plugin for OBS. Next release, that plugin gets upgraded and it adds a source to OBS. It's basically the same code that I gave you in this video, but it's automated, so you guys don't need to work with janky stuff and that mess of a code, right? Not to mention it should be super customizable because that code had much more customization potential, but it already has so many customization and it's pretty much confusing, so I keep the video at that. But the code has potential for way more customization. The plugin going to add an OBS source to automate that code function just brings UI to it and makes it full customized, so you can customize everything about the collaboration in your stream. The second update after this update is focused on video collaboration that you guys are in each other's streams. I already have figured out how to do it. It's another plugin upgrade. It needs a form of authentication between the 2 computers. There's no server involved. One is a receiving PC and the other is a sender PC. These 2 needs to be get authenticated over the internet, which that would be the program gives 2 copies that you should like share with each other. The sender client on OBS first gives a code that you should share with the person who's receiving. They put that hashed code inside the plugin, and the plugin outputs another hashed code that they should share with the sender OBS, and they should put in their plugin as well. It will be an easy guide on the plugin. There's no worried about know how to think. It's all going to be intuitive. But this is basically an authentication between the 2 computers. After this, they get connected over the internet without a server. Another source in that update going to get added. When you drop that source on the OBS, you can put whatever scene the sender OBS is having on your OBS. Oh, I had a long time to figure this out. The third update after this update is enhancing the second update, right? Because it's 1-to-1. Multiple people cannot be in each other's streams, and like even 2 persons want to collab with each other and 2 of them need to be in each other's stream. One needs to be receiver in this way, right? So it's basically making the plugin both a receiver and sender all at the same time, and also making capable of it to receive multiple people and send to multiple people all at the same time. It's essentially the same thing, but it's just a couple of more internal synchronization inside the plugin. That's it. If you guys want to know how they authenticated with each other, it's basically the sharing IP. That's how it works. You share your IP, only the receiver needs to share its IP, so the sender gets connected to the receiver. But this whole authentication thing, it's that you keep your IP anonymous. I know how much anonymity is important for VTubers, so I try to keep it as anonymous as possible. Even I don't know if in the second update or the third update I will add peer-to-peer encryption. I'm counting on the security that much. But the second one, that is from receiver to sender, is basically the receiver's IP, but it's hashed and only the program can decode it. This is the next 3 updates. But about this update, we have a lot of enhancements and 3 new features. First thing you're gonna notice is that the UI is completely overhauled. It's not as the UI as before. This UI, in my opinion, is way more clean. You can understand what the hell is going on and you cannot confuse your programs to each other. So for adding another program, you click on this plus sign, and like before, you write the executable name, and that's it. So many things have been automatized. So for example, if you added a program and you delete all of the shortcut keys, it will automatically remove it. Well, there is no shortcut for the program to function with. If you want to attach it to another program, it starts with unsaved shortcut. After that, you save the shortcut. The program that VHelp needs to be connected to gets saved inside the VHelp. The next feature, virtual stream deck. I'm attempting to make the stream deck, but on VHelp, I just need to add all of the functions. For now, it's just playing a sound. Later on in those free updates, I will of course enhance these features. So one of the enhancement it gets is that it will get all of the capabilities of a stream deck. Of course, it's paged and you can assign a hotkey the same way that you attach to a program. Plus sign, and you set the input key and then which one the functions you want to use, and then if you want to apply it, and if you not have been applied and use the cancel button, it will just delete the show. Another feature is virtual keyboard. Virtual keyboard is for people who don't have a second keyboard, so it will bring up another keyboard. It's a little bit buggy still, especially on resizing, but it works. It just works. So when you enable it, your save file gets changed. It doesn't listen to your second keyboard anymore. So if you have a second keyboard and you enable the virtual keyboard, it will not listen to your second keyboard anymore. But at the bottom of the VHelp, you see that there's a button appearing, switching to a virtual keyboard. If you press that, a virtual keyboard essentially gets appeared on your screen that whatever you click on it, it will act as the second keyboard in your VHelp. So basically it's your shortcut keyboard. And if you got a new keyboard or you want to switch to a new keyboard, you can switch to your second keyboard as well. About the start of the program, it's the same thing, but now you can choose I want to use a virtual keyboard or not. If you want to, you can just click it and it will, the same thing, enable the virtual keyboard for you. It's just on the start screen. The same thing if you want to change your second keyboard or you have not registered any keyboard yet, you go back to this and choose your second keyboard the same way, which is basically with pressing any button on the second keyboard. That's basically how you choose it. This was the two of the new features. One of the new features is OBS Bridge. For now, the OBS Bridge is OBS plugin acts as a timepad stamper. It's for easifying your work on your clippers and you guys at the same time. If you are streaming and at the same time you're thinking, oh boy, this would be a good scene for this clip, you can use the VHelp bookmark timestamp. This will mark that timing that this part should be edited, and you can name it. I will describe how it works one by one. Okay, so in your VHelp, when you go on your OBS Bridge settings, it has only two settings at the moment. So one is the key that triggers OBS bookmarking. It's on your second keyboard or on your virtual keyboard if you enabled it. It's by default on a space because I figured out for me it's easy on a space. Like I click on a space and it will bookmark the timestamp. But if you don't like it, you can basically change to any key on the second keyboard except from F12 onward. Everything that you can see on your keyboard. The second one is that reminding you of saving timestamp at closing OBS if you are not saved them yet. You need to export your timestamps in order to be useful in the editing softwares. But I figure that sometimes I just forget it and just close OBS. So I added this option that if you have not saved it yet to export it to be used in an editing program, it will remind you, hey, you are closing OBS and you have not saved it yet. You want to save it or not? And you can decide on that. This was the OBS Bridge settings. on VHelp. On the OBS side, there's a new window that gets added to you guys under doc VHelp bookmark timestamps. You initially say two things: export to subtitle or clear timestamps. If you use your timestamp key, like now I'm using a space, it adds a timestamps. This is the time of your stream per hour, minute, second, and I could even go to millisecond and nanosecond, but I figured out that wouldn't be useful as I'm going on work with it. So the second part is the reason you timestamped it, or the name of the timestamp, right? So I don't know, I'm playing a battle royale game and I made a victory royale. So I put here victory royale, just something that reminds me or remind my editor that this is what this clip's supposed to be about. The delete button will delete that timestamp. Clear all timestamps. All timestamps that have been registered will be cleared, and it will ask you if you are sure or not on both of them. When you want to export it to use it on the editing software, you click on the export subtitle. It first wants a location and where you want to save it, right? Of course. It's not will save yet on where you have been chose the place last time. I will add it, one of the enhancements for the future updates. So it will basically export it as a subtitle format, right? So import the exported timestamp as subtitle into your editing program, and based on the subtitle you can decide on where to edit, and you can delete that subtitle of the VHelp and add your own subtitles if you want. And if you don't want, you can just delete it or whatever you want to do. It's editing, right? So format. One is YouTube subtitle format.sbv. One is subtitle format.srt. There's a reason for it. If later on you wanted to like remove one timestamp, or you want just to change the timestamp, like name the timestamp, like time end of the timestamp, or the amount of the timestamp, or you want to delete one timestamp or add one timestamp, SBV is the best format for that. But it comes with a caveat. No editing program can read the SBV. SBV needs to be converted by an additional tool to SRT. So editing programs can't read it. While SRT, it just exported and you can just use it with any editing software. The reason is that you can open both of them with a notepad, but the difference is that the usual subtitle format, SRT, has a counting. That counts which subtitle should first, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth, and it goes down. So if you want to delete or add something to it, based on where you're deleting or where you add it, you need to rearrange a bunch of orders in the subtitle, which is a kind of hassle, and I can understand that nobody wants to deal with it. Again, I opened both of them as notepad so you guys can see. But for example, this one, you see that it has one thing and the below it is a text, right? They should have two lines difference with each other, the timestamps. You want to delete this timestamp, just delete it. You want to add another timestamp, you go, here's the before and after. You should think based on before and after, right? So I want to add like on 1 and 33, right? I add here. Or I want to add 0 and 20 minutes. I add here. You should think in between. Then you put two lines before it, and the first line is the name of the timestamp, and they should be separated by a comma. This is nanoseconds, nano and microseconds, which you can see I didn't count them. All of them are at 0, and they have 5 seconds difference, which this have been changed. This has changed behavior. This was when I was testing like marking could work, which was good, but it needed to be a little better, so I changed this behavior a little bit. That's basically it. You put the start of the timestamp, comma, the end of the timestamp, the name of the timestamp, and an empty line, and the next timestamp. So you want to delete it, you just delete this. It's easy to edit, but here's an equivalent SRT format. You see, it's ordering it. That's ordering reason that you cannot use the SRT for editing. You can use them if you want, but it's a hassle to like reorder everything when you want to add or remove a timestamp. Either way, SBV needs to be converted, but it's easy to edit on a notepad, but SRT is hard to edit on notepad, but it's straight up goes into editing program. When you choose your format and you choose your name, you click on the save, there's a new dialog it changed. This is that one that I said the behavior of it have changed. It asks you for a duration. It's duration before and after the timestamp. The idea behind this is that you probably have the idea of the clip after the event happened, or you thought something funny, you timestamped and you done that whatever funny thing you are doing, right? This is basically counting that delay. You on average with how much delay you are doing it. So it goes 2 seconds before the timestamps until the 2 seconds after the timestamp. This is by default. You can change it on the exporting part on average, like how much your delay was, but this is basically counting for that delay, because when I was editing with a bunch of the timestamps, I figured out that sometimes it gets confusing because this delay has not been counted. That's why this delay have been put here. Maybe I enhance this delay later on so you can like set as default value for it and it always goes based on the default value, or you can just set padding before the timestamp and the padding after timestamp separately. But this number is in seconds, so you remember that. After you put the OK, it saves the timestamp in that format in the education with the name you've chosen. Bug fixes. There was 2 bug fixes until now. There was one crash that was happening, which I fixed that crash. Sometimes it would get not connected to a 9directx program correctly. That has been fixed. The bug was in the scanning of the program. Sometimes it confuses the handles of the program to each other, because sometimes program has handles nested into each other and you should check and connect to each of the handles, all of that at the same time. It sometimes was not scanning all of the handles. That has been fixed. And there's a bunch of live qualities. The about part, which brings up a window that tells you basically how it works. And there's my Patreon page. If you want to support me in making of this project, you can reach me to my Patreon page, which we have 3 tiers. From the lowest tier, you get credited in the VHelp, and the highest tier, you can give me a custom function of yours that it can be helpful to you, and I will implement it in the VHelp. There is a tutorial video which brings you guys to a playlist that all of these videos are listed. If someone doesn't know how to use a part of the VHelp, they can watch the videos and they learn how to use it. And I have a bad news. I don't know if someone have used VHelp before or not, but those who have used it, your save files are obsolete. I'm sorry. There was a couple of changes in the save file of the VHelp. You guys will see that when you install VHelp and open VHelp, and after doing the first dialogues and everything, you will see a bunch of .bin files gets appeared. Those are the save files, right? This one existed, but these two have not been existed. Only this have been existed in the previous release. That is the main save file. This one is virtual stream deck save file. That's what VSD stands for. The other one is your OBS bridge settings save file. Mainly, this one have been changed. Original plan was that to make another program that you can run it and it converts it to the new save file that VHelp currently uses, but I was a clumsy dumbass and deleted the save code of that save file, so I have no idea how the previous save file was written. I have some vague idea because of course I have written it, but on the detail, well, because the save file have changed quite a bit, I cannot remember. So I'm sorry, you guys need to do your shortcuts all over again. But it's for greater good. Another change that I put in this save file is that it actually checks for the program version. So from this release onward, when any change in save files happens, based on the version of the save file, it will recognize it and automatically convert it to like current version VHelp. But the previous one didn't have like version detection, so I couldn't implement this one. By the way, the compatibility with the second keyboard have been improved. It now supports these keys plus these numbered keys. It doesn't support these keys yet. It will support it in the future release. And the picture on the above of the shortcuts that was showing if the shortcut is connected to the program or not, all of the shortcuts are now getting connected all at the same time. So that picture of the program moved to the name of the program. So if VHelp gets connected to any program, that icon of the program will appear in the VHelp menu. Another thing that I have added is that I hated VHelp needed to be constantly open. So now when you close it, it goes to your tray. So now you should close the VHelp from your tray. Also, that Double click will bring the main window of VHelp. Right click gives you every current option that VHelp has. Of course, when the VHelp gets more advanced, it cannot have all of the options of VHelp, but this is a live quality. You can reach VHelp from here and you cannot close VHelp by accident and ruin all of your things. So yeah, that's it for today. Bye bye.